Hi, my name's Craig Vaughan from Map Home Loans. Welcome to another presentation on whether you can get a home loan whilst on a 457 visa. Quickly about Map Home Loans, we're experts in helping 457 visa holders get home loan approval even if you don't have that 20% deposit. Looking at what we're going to talk about today, we're going to cover off on 5 main areas. Firstly, we'll talk about the 5 eligibility criteria the banks look to when deciding to approve your home loan. Secondly, we're going to look at how you can get a 457 visa home loan approved with only a 10% deposit. Thirdly, we'll quickly cover off on the process of buying a property here in Australia, given it's likely your first time. Fourthly, we'll look at some misconceptions, some things you may have been told to date that may or may not be true. And fifthly, what are your next steps to move forward to purchase your first home here in Australia. Firstly, let's look at the eligibility criteria to get a 457 visa home loan. There are 5 key areas, and we'll go through each of those areas slide by slide. Firstly, it stands to reason you need to be earning sufficient income to afford the repayments. Nothing more to be said here. You need to be earning Australian dollars and earning sufficient income to afford your repayments, as well as your overseas or Australian credit liabilities, home loans overseas, credit card payments, personal loan payments, and the like. Moving to occupation, if you've got a 20% deposit, occupation is largely irrelevant. It does still play. Banks obviously will give you maybe a slightly better deal if you're in a certain profession, but overall occupation will be irrelevant if you've got a 20% deposit. However, if you're looking for a 90% home loan whilst on a 457 visa, you will need to be a professional. In my mind, a professional is someone earning more than around $85,000 to $90,000 per year. Obviously, there's exceptions, and a professional would be someone like a doctor, nurse, engineer, accountant, lawyer, IT professional, someone working in the mines. There'll be a long list. If you're earning more than $85,000 or $90,000 per year, you're likely to meet this criteria. Otherwise, you'd need to fit into a professional box. Looking at time remaining on visa, if you have a 20% deposit, there is no minimum requirement for this. Some banks will stipulate you need to have 1 year left remaining on your 457 visa. As you know, a 457 visa goes for 4 years, so you need to be at least 1 year left to remain on that visa. If you're looking for a 90% home loan, you will require 1 year left remaining on your visa. If you're within that last year, or perhaps now onto a bridging visa, you will be limited most likely to an 80% home loan. If, however, you feel your case is strong and you have less than 1 year, you still give us a call. We may be able to do something with that as well. Looking at clean credit, obviously the banks will want to see that you've got clean credit history in Australia. Generally not an issue for our clients, given it's hard to get any type of credit here in Australia. So, but sometimes we do see people with clients with a small outstanding telephone bill or something like that. They haven't paid the telephone bill, maybe they've been travelling and there's a telephone bill unpaid on their credit file. If it's just a small telephone bill, probably not going to be an issue. Nevertheless, the general rule is you need to have squeaky clean credit history. Noting credit history Australia only, won't need to show credit history overseas. You also need to have sufficient deposit and or genuine savings requirements. This is a big area we spend time with our clients working through how much deposit you need, given the vast majority of our clients are looking for that 85 or 90% lending. So firstly, to have enough deposit, you need to firstly have sufficient funds for your deposit or client equity. You need to have enough money for stamp duty, sufficient funds for lender's mortgage insurance if that's required, and also enough for all your extra bits and pieces such as solicitors, building and pest reports and things like that. So firstly, looking at client equity or deposit, a bank will stipulate that you need sufficient deposit, or another way to put that is they will only lend to you a given amount. So for example, if you're on a 457 visa, the maximum you'd be looking at if you're just buying with another 457 visa holder all by yourself would be 90% LVR. So the bank's going to lend you 90%, which means they'll lend you on a 500 grand home 450,000. In turn, you therefore need to make up the difference, which in this case would be $50,000. So you need enough funds for your deposit. In this case, that would be $50,000. Looking on top of that $50,000, you need sufficient funds for stamp duty. We've got a stamp duty calculator on our website at the link there. You type in which state you're in and the amount you're buying for, and the calculator will tell you how much that government tax is government tax stamp duty is. In this case, on a $500,000 purchase in New South Wales, the stamp duty would be $18,296. Noting stamp duty will vary widely from state to state, so just make sure you do click the right state. On top of your deposit and stamp duty, you require or may require lender's mortgage insurance. As I've noted there, everyone pays lender's mortgage insurance. It's not due to your visa. Everyone pays it if you don't have a 20% deposit or a guarantor for 20% deposit. More information on what mortgage insurance is there at maphomeloans.com.au/LMI. That will give you a quick rundown of what it is. It is a sliding scale though. The bigger the deposit you have, the cheaper it is. The smaller deposit you have, the more expensive it is. In this case, at $450,000 loan amount, at 90% LVR, the mortgage insurance would be something like $7,200. It is possible in some cases for this to be added to the loan. On top of the deposit, stamp duty and mortgage insurance, you also require enough for everything else. Solicitors, building and pest inspections, and other bits and pieces. Generally, I would allow $2,500 for all these line items. So $2,500 altogether for everything on that list. You probably get some change out of that. Adding all that up, $500,000 purchased in New South Wales. You needed 10% for $50,000. Stamp duty was $18,296. Mortgage insurance was $7,200, and for everything else was $2,500, meaning you need total funds to buy this home in New South Wales for $500,000, $77,996. Moving on to the process, very briefly on the process, the key step where all the work is done really, and where all the work should be done, is at the pre-approval stage. Everyone, in my opinion, regardless of deposit or situation, everyone should get a fully verified pre-approval. For fully verified pre-approval, all the information is provided to the lender and bank up front, and obviously to us and in turn to the bank. The bank, and if required, the lender's mortgage insurer will sign off on that up front. Yes, it takes a little bit longer. It might take 3 or 4 days instead of half an hour. But when you get that letter of approval, you know it's been checked. You know the bank is happy. Compare that to some lenders' pre-approvals. They'll issue a pre-approval in half an hour or so, or a day, and the letter will say, subject to the bank checking your application meets their policy. They haven't checked it. It's very important to get a fully verified pre-approval, and I always advocate for a fully verified pre-approval for all my clients, and I'd rather it take an extra few days or a week to get that, to know that you are confident. The alternative is you get one of these half an hour unverified approvals, you go and find a property, and then you have all this stress because something's been picked up that they didn't know to start with or something like that. So always get a fully verified pre-approval, and we would always advocate for that. Once you've got a fully verified pre-approval, which lasts 3 to 6 months, you then have 3 to 6 months to look for a property, make your offers, and we'll give you guidance around what to put in your contract of sale, how the process works, and things like that. Once you've made your offer's been accepted and the bank has done their valuation and approved your loan, you then would normally settle within 30 to 60 days thereafter, settlement being when you get the keys and move in. That obviously sounds really, really simple. 3 steps, there's a million steps and a million things that go wrong, and I'll talk more about that in my book, but certainly that's a very brief outline of the process, with the main important point being to get a fully verified pre-approval. Moving on to some misconceptions. So these are some things you may have heard or may not have heard. Firstly, are the interest rates high because you're on a 457 visa holder? Definitely not. It's very much a policy issue, not a rate issue. There's no high rates or loadings because of your residency status. It's merely many lenders won't lend to you because of your visa. Rates and fees are not higher, and in fact, most people are very, very surprised that the rates on offer are cheaper than the banks they've actually applied to themselves and been maybe or other brokers and so on. You've been told you need a 20% deposit. Sure, look, that is the general rule. 20% deposit. Most lenders won't lend to you at all on your visa status, but the ones that will, yes, normally require a 20% deposit. We do have semi-exclusive arrangements. I say semi-exclusive because it's only open to a few of us in Australia that are not available to the general broker market or general bank market in that matter. So we have some fairly exclusive arrangements where we can get you up to 90%, and look, in some cases 95% as well. So you don't need it. If you think you've met the criteria so far, as in professional, got 1 year left on your visa and earning sufficient income with clean credit and have enough deposit, look, there's no reason why we couldn't do, well, 90% may very well be open to you. Looking at, you may have been told you need to be in Australia or in your current job for 3 to 6 months. Absolutely incorrect. We can actually help clients get approved before they even move to Australia. So a typical client might be someone from the UK. They've been sponsored to move out to Australia, and they want to be pre-approved so that when they do arrive in Australia, they can start looking for a property straight away. Given that, in most cases, they may be living in motel accommodation for the first few weeks or something like that. So we can actually get you pre-approved before you depart your home country. Therefore, if you actually are in Australia and only just arrived, that's quite okay. There's no requirement for you to be here for any minimum period of time. Looking at what are your next steps, where do you go from here? Totally depends on where you're up to in the process. If you're very much in the early stages of just researching, thinking I may want to do something in the future sometime, keep researching. We've got some tools for you. Obviously a number of videos you can view, such as this one. You can jump online and download a copy of our free report. You can also purchase a copy of my book as well, and I'll talk about that on my next slide. If you're looking to buy within the next 3 to 6 months, I suggest you request a free strategy session, book in with us, jumping online there to inquire now, or give us a call to book in a time, and we'll spend some time with you working through whether what you want to do is viable, answering all your questions, and then we can actually move forward to prepare some advice for you. If you've actually made an offer or looking to make an offer ASAP and you've found a home to buy, please book in with us ASAP. Give us a call, or just when you put your inquiry in, please note that your matter is urgent so we can prioritise and get to you straight away, given that there are going to be some time frames or some key things you need to do to ensure your process goes very smoothly. I talked briefly about the book in the previous slide. I wrote a book titled Buying Property in Australia, a guide for temporary and non-residents. I wrote it specifically really for 457 visa holders, and it goes through in really easy to read, clear, straightforward way how the process works in Australia, and I compare that to some overseas countries as well, given that especially to the UK and how it works in the UK. The feedback has been an hour and a half reading, very easy to read, and it gives you a very good idea of how the process works, and so on. Look, all our clients would get a copy for free anyway. If you're in the researching stage, you can purchase a copy either on our website by looking out for that graphic, or downloading a copy of Kindle from Amazon.com, or purchase a hard copy from Amazon.com as well. Again, all our clients would get a free copy of that book. Just what some of our recent clients have said, and some testimonials, and there's plenty more on the website. This one here was from Roman and Lauren from Byron Bay in New South Wales. Had a number of issues getting approval before approaching us. We arranged 90% for them, and they were able to move into their home, and obviously loving it. This one here is from Carla and Jamie from Victoria. Melbourne, Victoria. They were building wanted to buy a block of land and build in that block of land. This has been an ongoing saga. Not in the sense that it was hard, but look, they've had some issues with doing house and land packages. But look, they're halfway through building, and certainly read the full testimonial on the website. They're very happy and looking forward to moving into their new home very soon. And finally, Peter and Tiffany from Brisbane. They approached their own bank before coming to us. Approached their own bank, advised they needed a 20% deposit, and this was despite them being a platinum customer, or whatever you want to call it, professional customer with the bank. Still needed a 20% deposit. They've come to us, and we've managed to arrange a home loan 0.2% cheaper than their bank was offering, and that was despite their bank saying that they're a special customer to them and things like that. Banks will do that. They'll sort of make you feel really good about yourself, which is great, of course, but they're actually not really offering you that. Often not offering you the best deal on the market. So Peter and Tiffany, very happy, got the 90% for them, which allowed them to purchase their first home in Australia. They've moved in, and they've obviously got a very good interest rate and very happy with their purchase. I hope that's helped you a little bit with some tips on getting a home loan approved at 90%, what your next process is, and the steps involved in getting an approval. There's a number of videos on our website, free reports there. Download a copy of, purchase a copy of the book, or download a copy of the book. But look, obviously we stand here ready to help. If you require some assistance, please get in touch with us. All right, thanks, and Craig Vaughan here from Map Home Loans. Bye for now.